And good morning, good afternoon, good evening to those who are living across the countries. And before I start today's program, I would like to request that if anybody haven't kept your microphone on mute, please keep your microphone on mute so that it would avoid any interruption. Thank you very much. And Tibet House, in collaboration with Kalachakra Center, Paris Cosme and Burial Center, and Center of Gendin Drupas, and the Shinubu Center and Tsopema Nonprofit Center, in collaborated, and we have organized a 4-day teaching on the Noble Mahayana Sutra on Rice Seedling. So before I proceed, on behalf of all the centers, I would like to welcome everybody who present here and those who are joining live from YouTube as well. And it is at the request from all the centers to our director, Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul, Tibet House Culture Center of His Holiness Dalai Lama. He had gracefully accepted the request. So due to that, so we could able to organize this teaching. So before taking, I won't take much time. I'll share a brief introduction about Tibet House. Tibet House was established in 1965 by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, supported by Indian government, and it was inaugurated then. And then the purpose of establishment of Tibet House is to disseminate the rich culture of Tibet after Tibet was invaded by the Communist Chinese in 1949, and eventually leading to His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the great mass of Tibetans being refuged, taken asylum in India, 1959. And the purpose of the establishment of Tibet House is to disseminate the rich culture of Tibet and preserving the cultural heritage of Tibet at the time when it faced the extinction in its homeland, as well as for providing a center for Tibetan culture and Buddhist studies. It's a museum and library of valuable Tibetan manuscript, art and artifacts. Artifacts. Every year, a publication unit from Tibet House publishes around multiple books and a program division. And these are some English publications, and also these are in the process of publishing the books and the scripts. And these are the some of the Tibetan publications. Tibet House regularly organizes seminars, national conferences, film screenings, and exhibitions such as on the quantum physics, and now this one is the ecological imperative and the ethical interdependence, possibilities for the 21st century. We have recently organized. And how these are the following topics that we regularly organizes. Majorly, Tibet House offers 4 different courses on Buddhist philosophy, psychology, and Tibetan language. And Nalanda Master's course, now Nalanda Master's course, batch 1 has been graduated, and now in the process of batch 2 has been going on, which is a 5-year course, Nalanda Diploma course, which is a 14-month course, Nalanda Certificate course, which is also a 2-month course, and Tibetan language course. So if you would like to join and would you like to know more about Tibet House, the programs, teachings, and our website, tibethouse.in, and also we are always available on our emails, and I'll drop down the emails in the chat box, and it is pc@tibethouse.in. So now I won't take much time. I'll request Venerable Geshe to kindly.
Welcome you all. And we have the 5 collaborators, Buddhist centers, from different countries. And we have Kalachakra Center in Paris, and Gendu Drupa Center, Ishinupa Center, and then Sopema nonprofit. This is a great joy for all of us to be together. And according to the original plan, we were to meet in person. And unfortunately, for several reasons, particularly at the advice of the doctor, this year, we had the programs, intense programs of retreats, one after the other, and because of which, although I did not really face any major health issues, but the doctor said they advised me to take little rest. So my apologies to all the organizers for you having had to go through all the efforts of making the plans, of making flight tickets, then the visa, the procedures, and particularly, I would say that the Venerable Elizabeth, director of Kalachakra Center, Paris, you have put a lot of effort in making this visa procedure all these many months. And I'm really thankful to you and to everyone, all the hosts from the different countries and centers. So with this in mind, as Tenzrumala indicated, this program, what we're doing here, this is of course, the Dharma teaching on the very precious sutra, which the Buddha taught and further explained by Maitreya in response to the question asked by Shariputra. Because of this, let us engage in setting proper motivation with 3 points. 1, the refuge field, as always. Number 2, bodhicitta field. And number 3, the purposeless practice. And as for the refuge field, let us wholeheartedly visualize the Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and all the enlightened beings, the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, in a space in front of us, as so loving, caring, and embracing. And also for the bodhicitta field, visualize your 2 grandparents and all of family members, including children, and all other demonstration beings with you. Given that we are all following the Mahayana tradition, the teaching on compassion, we should be ready to forgive anyone who in your life you see as the problem creators. We should be ready to forgive them and embrace them with love and affection. And if you succeed in this, you will succeed in the practice of bodhicitta, which is the main stem of the Mahayana path. And the whole purpose of this practice, of this study, reflection, and meditation of this practice, Śhālistamba Sūtra, or the Rice Sutra, is to get away from, in a very secular, vernacular sense, to get away from our miseries, to get away from tensions, and to embrace the maximum happiness. And technically speaking, to getting away from miseries is known as seeking nirvana or renunciation, and embracing the maximum happiness is known as seeking enlightenment or Buddhahood. So with this in mind, let us take a few seconds to invoke the spirit that I will engage in the study to remove all the mental defilements, to awaken the Buddha nature within myself. And to remove the mental defilements is equivalent to saying transforming your emotions, transforming our emotions. To transform our emotions, emotions are very, spontaneous in nature, very spontaneously, innately arising nature, and because of which the remedies to overcome these negative emotions as well should be spontaneous. And the spontaneity of these, the remedies is possible only by having these positive forces like the wisdom to counteract the ignorance, bodhicitta to counteract the self-centered attitude, generosity to counteract the miserliness, and the ethical discipline to counteract the immorality, and the patience or enthusiasm to counteract the laziness and so forth. To introduce the remedies which in the form of very spontaneous, in a very powerful, innate, intense form, this must be backed by the practice, known practice of the meditation, which in turn must come about through the conviction that we gain through the wisdom derived through reflection. And this wisdom derived through reflection is possible only through extensive learning to get away from all the misinformation, lack of knowledge, and the distorted knowledge. So what we're doing here is the study of the Śhālistamba Sūtra, and for which let us pray that that I be able to unravel this teaching fully within myself, and that I be able to share with all my dear mother sentient beings. With this mind, let us invoke the spirit. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. Let us take a few seconds to invoke the spirit. And verbally also, we'll say this 3 times together. Verbally, let's say this 3 times together. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. With this in mind, let us recite the following text. Screen sharing. Okay. And teach with great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And teach with great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. and huge by great compassion, you taught immaculate dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Sangye joda zoge chonam la chanjo bardo dane gyapso che dage jinso gebe sonam ge chola benjir sangye drubarai sho. Sangye joda zoge chonam la chanjo bardo dane gyapso che dage jinso gebe sonam ge chola benjir sangye drubarai sho. Sangye joda zoge chonam la chanjo bardo dane gyapso che dage jinso gebe sonam Yola Benjira Sanje Druvara Sho. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha. By my accumulations through practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha. By my accumulations through practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha. By my accumulations through practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is free of aberrations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, which through the knowledge of all lead hearers seeking pacification, complete peace, which through the knowledge of paths, causes souls helping mankind achieves the aims of the world, and through the possession of which helps to do its expounded varieties of teachings. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teachers who and protector to your prostrations, the one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations, and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines for the forever noble light raised to you, the Buddha, make prostrations. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Okay, as we recite this mantra, just see how much we can reflect on the meanings. It is so precious. And by the way, in all these recitations, we need to reflect on the meanings as much as possible. For the whole purpose of doing all these repetitions is to gradually unravel the treasure within us by removing the dirt, mental dirt. And that is, we can't imagine, just by knowing this, mental dirt will be eradicated. No, the knowledge is like, the knowledge is just a piece of information, that's it. And then the reflection will give you the, say, the conviction. The meditation will gradually then bring about transformation within our mind. But for that matter, first, the meanings must be so well reflected as a precursor to all these other the stages to happen within us. Okay, with this mind, let's recite this together. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham dathagato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham dathagato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham dathagato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of causes as well is taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear-light, and non-composite. Such is the nectar like Dharma I have discovered. Finding no one good to fathom this teaching, in silence I'll return to the woods. Beyond utterance, thought, and expression is a perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unceased, and has the nature of space. It is object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas, with 3 times of pure obeisance. All composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are the nature of suffering. All phenomena are the nature of emptiness, selflessness. Transcending sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of everything wholesome. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the abundant drum of Dharma, you liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse of billions of aeons. The Buddha does not watch the negativity of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of the suchness that the beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries gloom. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Okay. Today we'll read the Heart Sutra complete Heart Sutra as auspicious the beginning. And reading the Heart Sutra, let us remember the background information, where the Buddha Shakyamuni presided over the congregation on the vulture's peak in Rajgir, and the Avalokiteshvara was on one side, Shariputra was on the other side, and surrounded by the great bodhisattvas, the monks, nuns, lay devotees, all the beings are there. And then the 3 points not to miss. First, what was the question asked by Shariputra to Avalokiteshvara? Second, what is the response given by Avalokiteshvara to Shariputra? Number 3, what is the purpose of what benefit we get if we practice as indicated, as taught by Avalokiteshvara to Shariputra? So these are the 3 points. And the first question, the question asked by Shariputra is, how should the child of the lineage practice the perfection of wisdom? So somebody having made the commitment that I will become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings, what should I be doing? What should I practice? How should I practice the perfection of wisdom? This first question asked. Then Avalokiteshvara responded, second point, that the bodhisattvas or the beings who commit themselves to become Buddha, how they should practice the wisdom and emptiness is by seeing everything like a dream. So seeing everything like a dream, there are 2 benefits. One, that the dream contents of a dream will not affect you, which means that what is meant of fear? Samsaric fear. What is a fear? Fear is where you are being affected by the external factors. When you come to realize that everything is like a dream, that things affecting us will be stopped, so you'll be freed from the fears. This is nirvana. And not only that you are not being affected, all what the stains, obscurations, which forbid your mind to behave in its true nature. What is the true nature of the mind? It is like the light. The true nature of the light is just to flow in all the 10 directions spontaneously. So flow with ease, infinite ease. The mind flows in every atom of the universe. This is the true nature of the mind. When you become a Buddha, when each one of us become Buddha, when all our mental defilements are removed, then our mind will just flow in all every atom of the universe, these spontaneously, where there's no hindrance happening. So this is known as infinite happiness. So first, of course, that we being affected by external factors will be stopped. This is nirvana. Then through further practice of the wisdom of emptiness to see things as like dream, then even that part will be that your mind will flow to every atom of the universe spontaneously. That happens. So this says by removing the second level of the mental stain that is known as cognitive obscurations. So this is what the benefit is over reflecting on things as like a dream. Okay, so it says that this is the only entrance by which all the Buddhas of the 3 times, past, present, future, traverse through this gate of the wisdom of emptiness to see things like dream, to get to ultimate, the cessation, ultimate freedom, which is nirvana blend with they blend with infinite happiness, referred to as non-abiding nirvana. Okay, with this in mind, let's recite the text together. I prostrate to the irresistible gem, and thus there he at one time, the Buddha was dwelling on the mass of Vultures mountain in Rajgriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Buddha was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound illumination. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound illumination of wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then through the part of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara: how should any child of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound professional wisdom train? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra: any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound professional wisdom should look upon like this correctly and repeatedly, beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Empty is not other than form, form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, composite factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are empty, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no composite factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no object of touch, or no phenomenon. There's no I element and so on, up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There's no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there's no suffering, origination, cessation path. There's no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and thus without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, there is the endpoint in nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the perfect three times also manifestly completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment and reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as truth, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared: Deyatha Om Gade Gade Bara Gade Bara Samgade Bodhi Swaha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Buddha arose from their concentration and commanded the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage. It is like that, it is like that. One should practice a profound professional wisdom, just as you've indicated, even that the Tathagatas rejoice. The Buddha having thus spoken, the Venerable Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, those surrounding the entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that is spoken by the Buddha. Okay, well, let's recite this mantra. And of course, this mantra, it is a very specific meaning. Gade Gade Tatyatha. And Tibetan's word recited is Tyatha. Actually, it should be Tatyatha. The Tatyatha this is a Sanskrit word, which means here is thus. What we should be doing, here is it. Gade Gade Para Gade Para Samgade Bodhi Swaha. Om, you are included, not included, it's fine. If you are included, you should know the meaning. Om is the syllable consisting of three letters, A, U, Ma. And these three letters, they symbolize the body, speech, and mind. And if you look at ourselves, we see ourselves as something so important, something so solid, like the center of the whole universe. And what is this self? It's nothing but made of these three components: body, speech, and mind. And if you have any idea about the self related to what you've learned before from anything, from reading books, or listening to teachers, or your own formulation of the thoughts, whatever, just see whether it's true that the self that I consider self is nothing but made of is composed of these three components: body, speech, and mind. And this body, speech, mind, these are symbolized by three letters. A, U, Ma. A symbolizing the body, U symbolizing the speech, Ma symbolizing the mind. And when you recite this syllable Om, it should remind us that I should transform this body, speech, and mind, which are impure, to be transformed into the pure body, speech, and mind, which is the pure body, speech, mind of the enlightened beings, which means that I'm going to become enlightened. I'm going to become Buddha. Buddha meaning awakened one, fully awakened one, fully purified one. How? Gade, gade, para, samgade, bodhisattva. In these 5 steps, literally to be translated as gade, gade, go, go. Para gade, go beyond. Para means beyond. Para sangade, go utterly beyond. Bodhisvaha, establish your enlightenment. Bodhi means enlightenment, awakening. Establish your awakening. Now, later on, after the study of the Dhamma, they say with the study of the Dhamma well, one is expected to know this meaning in its full form from with the element of the vastness, with the element of the depth in it, the profundity as well as the vastness, both to be learned. In other words, that I'm going to transform this impure body, speech, and mind to the ultimate purity of the body, speech, mind of the enlightened one in 5 steps. The 5 indicated by the 5 paths: part of the accumulation, part of preparation, part of seeing, part of meditation, part of normal learning. And we have to know what all these paths are. We have to study separately. And of course, there are many centers now. There are many programs nowadays in various places. Like in France, there are very good programs there. In Italy also, good programs there. And in many places, there are very good programs. And Tibet House in Delhi also conducts various programs, which are program coordinated. This is already explained. So somehow we have to study these things in a very comprehensive way. To know, finally, it's not about tradition. It's not about this or that. It's about your awakening. For this, we need to have a comprehensive, in-depth, and the vast, the exposure to to this instructions, and then be convinced. Conviction should be gained, and then practice them, and then you reap the ultimate benefit. Okay, with this in mind, let's say this these 7 times together. Meanwhile, imagining all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, with particular Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Aravind Teshvara, and Arahat Shariputra, and you are surrounded by your 2 parents and all the family members, including children, and all dear mothers and beings with you in Rajgir, the place where the Buddha Shakyamuni actually presided over when this Heart Sutra teaching was happening. Deata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhisvatyata Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhisvatyata Om Gati 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 Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhisvaha. By the teachings of the three supreme jewels possessing power of the truth, may inner and outer hindrance be transformed, may they be dispelled, may they be non-existent, may they be pacified, may all negative forces opposed to the Dharma be completely pacified, may the host of 80,000 obstacles be pacified, may we be separated from problems and conditions harmful to the Dharma, may all enjoyments be in accord with the Dharma, may auspiciousness and perfect happiness pervade this place now. Chitra. Text good. Chedare. Ale, more. It was Mare. It deep Yudhishigama. Foundation of all good qualities. Oh, Madal Chendu. Okay, Madal offering. Given that these are teachings like Rice Sutra and that the teachings on the particular teachings on emptiness, they require a lot of merit accumulation. And they oftentimes people who are so keen on the state of emptiness and the dependent origination, the moment they come to this, the teaching, either they become sick or something comes in the way that they cannot attend these teachings. There are so many obstacles there. We require a lot of merit accumulation to support, to make sure that these teachings happen without hindrance. So with this in mind, and the best way by which to do so, one of which is to make model offerings to all Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and that you accumulate merit, and that you are able to be in touch with the study, reflection, meditation on the wisdom, emptiness, and bodhicitta consistently till you get to a level of the great expertise and proficiency. So with this in mind, let's do this model offering together. This ground anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the four continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha field and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure land. O Sajebe Ge Joshe Mendo Tam Vénérable Geshe Damdul Sanje Shendo me de buvayen Chogunam da shenlai chubarai shu. May be blessed that my mind is directed towards the Dharma. May be blessed that my Dharma practices on the proper path. May be blessed that the path is free of flaws. May be blessed that the flaws are seen in the light of exalted wisdom. Becoming utterly frustrated with ignorance that grasps the true existence, please bless me to generate genuine renunciation, seeing all aspects of samsara as the vicious and repulsive. Please bless me that my mind stream overflows with the precious bodhicitta that they are cherished others more than myself. Please bless me to have an immaculate experience of the wisdom of emptiness that does not see even an atom of intrinsic reality on the basis of understanding how things come into being by dependent origination through mere conditioning. Please bless me that my mind stream overflows with the precious wisdom of non-duality of bliss and emptiness. Idam Guru Radna Mandala Gamnirateya Me. The foundation of all good qualities. Okay, foundation of all good qualities. This is the roadmap to enlightenment. It'd be good if you can recite this every day and be reminded of the complete path. Oftentimes, people are fortunate in ways that they feel connected with the Buddha's teachings, but then they can be very, the path that they meet with can be very partial, may not be comprehensive. So these 14 verses will tell us what is a comprehensive path, and then accordingly to be wise to embrace all these the facets of the path, not being just one-sided, not be deviated by one side and leaving aside the rest, which means that you will not become enlightened if the comprehensive part is not taken into consideration. Okay, with this mind, let's say this and meanwhile reflect on the meanings. The foundation of all good qualities is a kind and perfect pure Guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of the path. By clearly saying this and applying great effort, please bless me to rely upon him with great respect. Understanding that the precious freedom of this rebirth is found only once, is greatly meaningful and is difficult to find again. Please bless me the generated mind that unceasingly day and night takes its essence. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly decays and death comes. After that, just like a shadow follows the body, the results of virtuous, non-virtuous karmas follow. Finding firm and good definite conviction in this, please bless me to always to be careful to abandon even the slightest negativity and accomplish all virtuous deeds. Samsaric splendors are unsatisfying and unreliable. Seeking them is the door to all suffering. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me to strong wish for the bliss of liberation. Led by this pure thought, mindfulness, alertness, and great question arise. The root of the teaching is keeping the Buddha moksha vows. Please bless me to accomplish this essential practice. Just as I have fallen into the sea of samsara, so fall among the migratory beings. Please bless me to see this twin and supreme bodhicitta and bear the responsibility of freeing migratory beings. Even if I develop bodhicitta, but I don't practice a 3,000 morality, I'll not achieve enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the bodhisattva vows with great energy. Once I've pacified distraction to wrong objects and correctly analyze the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate clearly within my mind stream the unified path of karma abiding, especially inside. Having become a pure vessel by training the general path, please bless me to enter the holy gate with the fortunate ones, the supreme Vajra vehicle. At that time, the basis of accomplishing the two attainments is keeping pure vows and samaya. As I become firmly convinced of this, please bless me to practice these vows and pleasures like my life. Then, having realized the importance of the two stages, the essence of Vajrayana, by practicing with great energy, never give up the 4 sessions, please bless me to realize the teaching of the Holy Guru. Like that, may the Gurus who showed the noble path and the spiritual friends who practice of long lives, please bless me to pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. In all my lives, never separated from perfect Gurus, may enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages of the paths, may coolly attain the Shri Vajratara. Okay, we'll recite this 3 times together. Anjay kebe tsuge tsongkaba dosa tabe shabla sovade me Rese Temekebe Vambo Jambeyan Kajen Kebe Tsoge Tsokaba Dosatabe Shabla Sovade Mezevete Rese Temekebe Wombo Jambeyan Kajen Kebe Tsoge Tsokaba Dosatabe Shabla Sovade. You are Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of non-referential compassion, and Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom, as well as Vajrapani, destroyer of hosts of demons without exception. Tsongkhapa, crown jewel of the sages, the land of snows, Losantaba, at your feet and make prostrations. Okay. The 4-day teaching on the Rice Sutra or Śhālistamba Sūtra, Sarujambedo in Tibetan, Sarujambedo. The Buddha in Udana Varga, which is the equivalent of Dhammavada. In fact, what you find in Dhammavada and what you find in Udana Varga, these two are very similar. The style of composition, the concepts, the subject matter, they're all very similar. In fact, we can say that these were actually taught by the Buddha himself, and then later on compiled by the Arhats, and then came into this today in the form of compilation. So there, the Buddha said that you are the benefactor of yourself. You are the enemy of yourself as well. You are the benefit of yourself, and you are the enemy of yourself. You are the benefit of yourself, meaning that if you know how to remove the mental defilements, you are the benefactor. You can give yourself whatever you need. You want fearlessness and you want infinite happiness. Both will come to you, and if you're wise, by becoming the benefactor of yourself. Whereas if you're unwise, then you add to the mental defilements to obscure this Buddha nature even more, that all the miseries are being attracted. Thereby you are the enemy of yourself. So this is what the Buddha taught. And given that the people here from Kalachakra Center and from various centers, and I can also see that there are many from the Narendra Master's course, Narendra Diploma course from Tibet also. I can see that. What is very important for us is the one thing that we need to keep in mind is that we begin by asking ourselves, what am I seeking? What am I seeking? Say, for example, not yourself. Just try to see universally what is being sought, meaning everyone, what everybody is seeking. Say some people, they would say that, oh, I have no time for this teaching because I have my work. They have to go for work. Yes, for them, this work is very important. And why they're doing this work? And some people will say that I have it's a birthday party to attend to. And some people say that, oh, I have a holiday to go. And some people say that, oh, I have the backlog, not a master's course, I have the teachings to catch up. so I cannot attend this teaching. And some people say it's always so boring teaching. Why not go for a holiday now, short break? So we see that they're trying their best. They're trying their best. And the Buddha Shakyamuni, 2,500 years ago, when he came, if he were to be here with us, for sure, he would tell each one of us, what do you want? What do you want to accomplish? Why? In what way, whatever you're doing now, in what way it helps you to accomplish what you want? So this is the first question. And you look at your friends, you look at yourself, you look at everyone. And some people, they would become monastics. Some people said, no, I will not become monastic. Some people say, I'll go for retreat. Some people say, I'll not go for retreat. Some people say that, oh, I will just go for the, let's say that, okay, not a master's course. Some say, okay, I ordered some other course. Some say, no, I don't want the courses. I want to practice. So just look at all these people around you and think very objectively, what are they seeking actually? What are they seeking? You will come to, it's so fascinating to explore this, that, and some people, they will say that it's very funny. It's a little humorous also, and it's also quite is irony also. Some people say that, for example, say attending His Holiness the Dalai Lama's teachings, the early days, even nowadays, it must be happening, that people, they fight for their seats, right? People fight for the seats, right? So this is my seat. People literally fight, right? That's very funny. Or you literally fight for what? For what? What do you get out of sitting here, right? That I get the better view of His Holiness. What's there if you get a better view of His Holiness? Then I'll get a better teaching. What's there for this teaching? With this teaching, my mind will transform. Transform from what? From anger to compassion. So this opportunity for you to practice compassion, and then you are becoming angry, right? You're giving into anger, meant to get rid of anger, right? So which is more powerful? Thinking of getting rid of anger, or actually embracing anger, which is more powerful? Embracing anger is more powerful, right? So we should be very, very be careful to just observe this. Let us not be judgmental. Let us not be judgmental. Make it like a fun for you. Just explore why this person doing like this, why that person doing like that. And oftentimes the mothers, they sacrifice. Mothers are the greatest. Overall speaking, the mothers are the greatest, the people who sacrifice the greatest. For example, they crave out of the Dharma, but for the children, they stay at home and not attending the Dharma lessons. This is a great sacrifice. And again, if you ask, sacrifice, but what? You ask, why? Just think. Why is this mother sacrificing her own the passion for Dharma? Because for her, taking care of the child is more important than attending Dharma. Taking care of the child, that makes her more happy than the Dharma. So in other words, everybody is seeking to get away from problems and to embrace more happiness. This is the reality. So this is one thing we should be exploring. Number one, we have to explore. When we explore on yourself, and explore with other people also. When you explore with other people, of course, keep in mind that there's every danger that you can become judgmental. That you become, oh, you are doing like this because of this, you are like this, you are like this. Keep in mind that I am like that. I am like that. And then who am I to judge on somebody else? So we are all seeking fearlessness, and we are all seeking maximum happiness. This is the conclusion that one is expected to reach. And this holds true across the humanity, across the board of the humanity. It's not confined to religious people. It's not confined to Buddhists, Christians, believers, non-believers. It's across the board of humanity. This is one thing that we need to know. Once you know this, the second question is that what is the possibility? Can we really attain these two things? Can we really attain these two things, to get away from miseries and to embrace the happiness. Can we do that? This question. So for this, what is so important for us to know is that we have to know the true nature of your mind. Finally, we come to know that whether you're happy, not happy, fear, unhappy, stress, distress, is all your mental state. This is the reality. But some people, they're too naive to say that, say, for example, you have mental stress and you go through depression, deep depression. Oh, it's just pure mental and you can help yourself. Just don't think like this. It's easy to say this, but this is not how it works. The reality is very complicated. Somebody going to depression, it's not that easy. It can be because of many factors, although it's purely happening on the mental level, but to fix it is not that easy. So we have to remember that. Sometimes they say, when I come to know about some people who commit suicide because of depression, and what is this? This person knows so much dharma and they're committing suicide. No, which means you don't know what is depression. Only when we go through depression ourselves, then you will be able to empathize with others. It's an acutely painful state. Yes, it is happening on the mental level. Say financially, you may be so well off, millionaire, billionaires, but still you can go through deep depression. In fact, the people in the actors, actresses, and on that, the celebrities, oftentimes they go through all deep depressions. This is reality. So the point is that the next point that we need to remember is that our mind, while all these problems are happening on the mental level, yes, physically, yes, physical also it can happen, but when you talk about the depression, when you talk about anxiety, these are all on the mental level. Once you recognize this, then our mind, does it really have the potential to experience a fearlessness? Depression is uneasiness there. You don't want this, and yet you are having it. So this is, you have a fear that you may have a problem. So when that gets acute, then it's very, stressful. And when it becomes very intense, it can be anxietic. When it becomes very prolonged, it can be depressing, or you can go to depression. So the point is that, can we get away from these on a mental state? Answer is yes. No matter whatever problem that we go through, depression, stress, anxiety, fear, and so forth, these are not the true nature of your mind. These are not true nature of mind. That's very funny how the mind works. And to know these in a very comprehensive way, whereby you don't have to really just go for a blind faith in somebody. If you really want to know how you have the potential, everyone has the potential for the infinite happiness and fearlessness, then you have to study the Buddha's teachings in a very comprehensive way. It's not just like, they say the 2-day teaching, 5-day teaching, 1-week teaching, 3-day teaching. No, and these teachings can help you, but in the long run, you must have to have a systematic study for like minimum 5-10 years. Systematic studies, reflection, and then meditation. We will gradually see that, for example, say the same situation, which will otherwise create so much of anxiety within you. At one point, you see that by, working on your cognitive level, all this anxiety stops. It happens gradually. It will not happen overnight. Simply by knowing the mechanism doesn't mean that it'll happen. Even though you know how to, make good food, but it doesn't mean that the good food is already there with you. You have to prepare the food. So that involves meditation. So the next point that we need to remember is that, do I have the potential to get away from the fears and to embrace the maximum happiness, to have this potential inside. Yes, you have this is known as Buddha nature. This second conviction that you need to obtain. Number 3, if I have that potential, then how to awaken this? How to awaken this? For this, we need to know what are the things which obstruct you from manifesting these qualities. What are the obstacles? What are the obscurations? So we need to know the 2 kinds of mental obscurations, like the gold mixed with the mud. Even though the gold, the nature of the gold is to glow, but as long as it is mixed with the mud, it will not glow. It's not that the gold does not, there's no gold there. It's because the nature of the gold is blocked by the mud, the presence of the mud. So we have to identify what the mud is, what that mental defilements are, in order to get rid of them. So this we identify that it is of 2 kinds, the gross and the subtle. The gross one, which is like the solid garlic, and the presence of which stops us from experiencing fearlessness, and technically known as nirvana. And the subtle one, like the smell of the garlic. All the garlic is removed completely, but if you smell the mug, it still smells garlic. Although there's no trace of garlic there, you wash the mug so well, it still smells of garlic. So that is the cognitive obscurations. And don't just leave them on what you learn from somebody. Eventually, you must be convinced that these are very true. And how do you know that you're convinced? How do you know that your conviction is a reality, or your conviction is the incontrovertible? How do you know that? How do you know that? Entertain questions from others. Let others ask you questions. And then when you see that you don't have an answer to a particular question, you have to explore deeper. So whereas the real conviction is no matter what questions come from outside, your answer never wavers. While not being stubborn, some people are very stubborn. They don't want to, they don't want to change their thoughts. They don't want to change. They know that they cannot defend their position, but still they don't want to change their thoughts. So that is a different story. But if you're very open in your, say, the thought, and then you entertain questions, and if you get stuck there, then it's time for you to reconsider your point and look for a deeper. This is a time when you grow your intellectual inquiry, the power in your intellectual inquiry. You grow in the intelligence. Finally, who can attain an enlightenment is somebody with the greatest intelligence. Greatest intelligence with the greatest enthusiasm can attain enlightenment. And even intelligence is something that we can cultivate. We can cultivate the intelligence. Okay, so we have to know what defilements are there to block your Buddha nature. What defilements are there? So the first one, known as the afflictive obscurations. What is that again? What is it? What do you mean by afflictive obscurations? What is that constituted of? So broadly, 3 things: contaminated karmas, afflictions, and their active seeds. Contaminated karmas, afflictions, and active seeds of these 2. And what are the cognitive obscurations? The subtle stains or the inactive seeds of the afflictive obscurations. Inactive seeds, like the smell of the garlic. And all these we need to gain conviction. Don't just leave them. And I don't mean to say that you have to know, or you have to gain conviction right now. No, it's not possible at all. For quantum mechanics, just listen to one lecture, however brilliant you are, it's not that you will understand quantum mechanics right there in one lecture. You may get the basic principles, but to really bring about the amazing experience within yourself, experience of the awe, for this it will take time for you to reach there. So what I'm saying is that finally what we're learning, we should eventually be able to ask more questions and get there to the level of the conviction in what you believe in. This is so important. Okay, once you know that the mental defilements, afflictive obscurations, there are three kinds, and particularly Buddha Shakyamuni's approach is Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava. All these phenomena arise from the causes. Here, the all phenomena, referring to not all phenomena in general, phenomena of the composite nature. Phenomena of composite nature, they should necessarily come into existence by dependence on the causes. So identify the root. This is something so unique of the Buddha's approach. And with this Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava, Hetum Tesham Tathagato Hyavatat. And what are the causes of these miseries? They identify the Tathagata. Tesham Chayo Niruta. How to bring an end to these causes is also taught by the Buddha. So we see that for example, say even in simple terms, say the experiences of pains are the result of your actions, and results of your actions are determined by your thought processes, and thought processes particularly afflictive, which are afflictive in nature. And these afflictive in nature, they are given rise to by what is known as inappropriate attention. Inappropriate attention. And the inappropriate attention is given rise to by the self-grasping ignorance. So this is what the Buddha identified. And unless and until, okay, so this is, let's say that this is what the Buddha identified, and the various Buddhist schools, and in fact, I would say that all the religious belief systems, and they try to offer us how to get rid of our problems. All try their best, try their level best to offer us the means to get away from the miseries. And in this world, today we see that broadly speaking, there are about like 6 or 7 major religions of the world, and just go through them very quickly. You'll see that they're all trying to offer ways and means to get away from the miseries. And surprisingly, we see that many of them, they say that the root of our problems is ignorance. It's not only the Buddha Shakyamuni, it's not only Buddhism. Even the other traditions, they also say that our root of our problems is ignorance. What is this ignorance? What is this ignorance? So then the different philosophical traditions, they differ in the points of view, what this ignorance is. So our point is not that, okay, I believe in Buddha, I believe in this, I believe in that, so I don't care about what others say. If this is approach, we follow blindly. If you follow blindly, you will never discover the reality. If you don't discover the reality, you will continue to be in darkness of ignorance. And while you adhere to some degree of the wisdom, it's not actually adhering to wisdom, you're adhering to ignorance. So we need to maintain a sense of openness in our exploration. We must have a sense of openness. Just be ready to listen to other things. Meanwhile, they say that what is important is that keep in mind that we are all growing older. Every day we are growing older. Okay, the day when I came to Tibet House, I think about like 13, 14 years ago, my hair all black. Now after 14 years, white hair is coming from here everywhere. White is coming. So our life does not stop. You know, our life continues to exhaust. So make sure that we extract the meaning out of this. And so this is one thing. Then another thing is that people want the shortcuts. people want the easy path. This is another problem, right? This is another problem. People want the easy path, people want the shortcut. And sometimes we also need a cheap path, which is cheaply available, cheap, shortcut, and easy, right? Okay, if this is what we seek, we will never stop crying. We'll never stop shedding tears. You're getting it? So it is the easier to get the picture of a pizza in comparison with getting a real pizza. You're getting it? So many people, they actually get say picture of a pizza and saying that, oh, I got it very easily, right? And this is a picture of pizza. It's not a pizza at all. So it's a self-deception. So we have to let us think, not just you. I also belong to the same category. Let us all make sure that we don't deceive ourselves. Be complacent with the picture of the pizza. You're getting it? We should really go for the real pizza. If you are hungry, go for the real pizza. Don't go for the picture of the pizza, right? So finally, there's no compulsion that we have to follow the path taught by the Buddha. There's no compulsion. Nobody forces us, but we are doing it. When you do it, let's do it seriously to make sure that the more we go into this path, the more we get away from miseries and more expansive our happiness is. This is what we should be doing. This next point that we need to keep in mind. So with this, as I said earlier, the Buddha's approach is looking at the root cause. And for example, there are some religious traditions who would be happy to just tackle the karmas. Say, the Buddha taught the karmas, afflictions, inappropriate attention, and self-grasping ignorance. Buddha identified more and more causes. So whereas there are some religions which focus on the contaminant karmas, to get into contaminant karmas. Whereas the Buddha said there's a deeper cause here, we have to tackle the causes. So the Buddha tackles the afflictions, and particularly the self-grasping ignorance. Whereas some other religions, they focus on the contaminant karmas, to stop the contaminant karmas, not really focus as much on the afflictions. So these deviations are there. And then the next point is that that in our practical real life, yes, the Buddha taught very sophisticated thing about the root, which is self-grasping ignorance. Remove the root. But let's not forget that the Buddha did not just leave it there. Okay, you go to the root and the rest it's fine. You cut the root and everything we can talk it in a very easy way. We could talk something nice that get rid of the root and everything else will fall apart. All the afflictions, contaminant karmas, miseries will fall apart. But in reality, it's very different. The Buddha taught that how to stop the contaminant karma, the non-virtuous contaminant karmas. How to stop the non-virtuous karmas. The Buddha taught that. Buddha taught how to tackle the gross afflictions. Buddha taught how to tackle our inappropriate attentions. And then finally, to cut the root. For example, it is like, I remember when I was in the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics, I think about maybe 25 years ago, perhaps like 30 years, like 25 years ago, when I was in Institute of Buddhist Dialectics, there was one monk, and one night he was crying, screaming in pain. He was screaming in pain. And he could not sit in any position. Lying down is painful, in the front is painful, back painful, like what's crouching is painful. Any position is so painful, and he's crying. And finally, we took him to the hospital. And they, okay, what do you think the hospital will do? His problem is related to the ulcer problem. And of course, for ulcer, there are antibiotics. So is there anybody, what would the first step the doctor will do? A wise doctor will do? Anyone? To give the antibiotics? Or what? Oh yeah, Ajay Dawagasana. Ajay Dawagasana is a nurse. Okay, unmute. Okay, yes.
Give painkiller.
Yes, Ajay Dawagasana, say it again, please.
Give painkiller.
Yes, the first don't give the antibiotics. You getting it? First, that's acute pain. So the acute pain must be subsided by giving painkiller. For example, like say the paracetamol or anasophy. What painkiller do you give in France? Anasophy, unmute.
Paracetamol too.
Or paracetamol. Okay, paracetamol. Okay. Jeffrey, in America, what do you give?
Yes, Geshe, Tylenol, ibuprofen.
Tylenol. Tylenol. Okay. So we give this, but keep in mind that this paracetamol will not get rid of the ulcer. For example, if somebody is suffering because of the COVID or because of the tuberculosis bacteria, this paracetamol will not get rid of the bacteria. It will simply subside the pain for the immediate symptom, the pain that will be subsided. But that must be done. That must be done first. So likewise, and then when the pain is subsided, then you give the antibiotics to remove the bacteria, the virus, whatever. Likewise, the Buddha taught that they say the root, finally, like giving the antibiotics, you have to apply the wisdom of emptiness to cut the root of all the miseries. But initially, you have to take the immediate steps. The first step is to tone down our non-virtuous karmas. If you don't do that, we will never come to a point to apply the antibiotics will work. Antibiotics will, the wisdom of emptiness will never work if you don't put effort to curb the intensity of the contaminant, the non-virtuous karmas. And then also then next one is the afflictions, the gross afflictions. If you don't put effort to get rid of the gross afflictions, if you just continue to stay with the gross afflictions such as like indulgence. Indulgence involves the non-virtuous karmas and the very gross afflictions together. Attachment, anger, very gross attachment and anger. These things are there. Again, we have to work to get rid of these. Then the next one is the inappropriate attention. We have to tone down all these. Only then the remedy of the wisdom of emptiness will work to get rid of the self-grasping ignorance. So therefore, it is so important that for us to identify the root cause as well as to work on the immediate, to remove the symptomatic, to go for the symptomatic treatments as well. We need both. So we see that some they work on just to get rid of the contaminated karmas or non-virtuous karmas, and some, for example, is very interesting. Let's say that they say how we go into the contaminated karmas. For let's say the non-virtuous karmas. how do we engage non-virtuous karmas? What prompted us to engage non-virtuous karmas? Because of the, let's say the act of despising others, being judgmental of others, or say feeling attached to others. It's because of the, say the act of embezzlement, or act of snatching things from others, and so forth. This all related to attachment. Act of being indifferent towards others is because of aversion. And how is this happening? How is this happening? So, for example, say you go to a shop, and then you see, say the things like, let's say the iPhone 14, or let's say the branded clothes, and your mind will be caught there. Your mind, there's attachment coming. So how is this attachment coming? So this act of going there, that you cannot get out of the shop, because the mind is moving to be glued to the object. So that movement is because of the attachment to the object. And how is this attachment coming? Again, we track the cause. It's the feelings. Pleasant feeling. When you think of this, the pleasant feeling comes. When you don't get it, then the pleasant feeling disappears. So you don't want to let the pleasant feeling disappear. So to get it, either you buy it, or you keep staying there. So this is how you try to sustain this pleasant feeling. Finally, we see that it's a pleasant feeling. So therefore, some traditions, what they employ is that when the pleasant feelings happen, unpleasant feelings happen. So to these different feelings, you don't react to the feelings. This is another practice people employ. Don't react to these feelings. Just keep observing. Don't react. Learn how to not react to these feelings. So when that happens, then you can stop the contaminant karmas. This is another, say the method some traditions employ. These are beautiful methods. These are very beautiful methods. Then whereas the Buddha taught that with a pleasant feeling, how the feelings they arise. Feelings, even the pleasant feelings, how they arise. Pleasant feelings arise again out of the discrimination. Inappropriate discrimination, inappropriate attention. So there's something deeper there, and behind that is the self-grasping ignorance. So therefore, the Buddha taught, I said in the Rice Sutra, which we're going to read for the next the 4 days, is that in the Rice Sutra, where the Buddha taught that whosoever sees dependent origination will see the Dharma. Whosoever sees the Dharma will see the Buddha. And because this exists, that exists. Because this is produced, that is produced. Because of ignorance, karmas arise, because of which consciousness arises, because of which name and form arises, because of which the sources arise, because of which the contact arises, because of which the feelings arise. So some people stop there, the feelings. From the feeling, next is so what is said there, the feelings, then the craving. How to stop the reaction so the craving does not arise with the feeling. So this is how some traditions stop there. See that this is where you have to work. And then from there, if you stop there, then the next, this is number 7, then number 8, craving, number 9, grasping, number 10, existence, then number 11, birth will not happen. So this is how we stop the birth. This is how some traditions employ. Whereas the Buddha taught, of course, the Buddha taught various methods, saying that still there is a problem inside. There's a deeper problem there. What's a deeper problem? The feelings. Feelings arise from where? Feelings arise from where? From the inappropriate attention. And the inappropriate attention arises from where? Ignorance. so firmly rooted to ignorance. So therefore, the Buddha said, where there is the grasping and the self-grasping ignorance, there's no freedom, there's no liberation. This is what the Buddha taught. So this is another point that we need to learn the very comprehensive pictures. What are the methods taught? The different methods which the Buddha taught, and which the Buddha taught, which the teachers taught. And it's not that what the Buddha taught is supreme, what the other teachers taught, they are not, if this is our approach, we go into a very sectarian approach. In fact, whatever any tradition offers, which is relevant to you, apply this, adopt it, use it. Finally, you have to grow. Your misery is, for example, let's say that, so I follow, Tibetan Buddhism. If the last time, I think about like maybe 15 years ago, when I had the tuberculosis, then one doctor advised me to go to allopathic, the Delhi Apollo Hospital, allopathic. And I did not ask whether it's the Buddhist hospital. I did not ask this. Or whether it's a Tibetan medical, the hospital. I did not ask this. Because I'm very sure that the Tibetan medicine, I'm very sure, is not to demean the Tibetan medicine, but for the tuberculosis, very gross tuberculosis like what I had, Tibetan medicines will not work. I'm very sure of this. At least this is my belief. For this, I think allopathic will work. Although it has nothing to do with Tibetan Buddhism, it has nothing to do with what the Buddha taught, still I would go for it. So just adopt what you like, what benefits you. It's not about traditions. This is known as the openness. This is so important for us. So don't just say that, oh, this is the subtlest, this is most profound, I belong to this category. But when you say that I belong to this category, they others, I'm not from this tradition, which means that you are not following the Buddha's the teaching. Okay, so with this, what I'm saying is that this is another thing that we need to keep in mind. The methods employed by the different traditions, see in what way they differ and what is applicable to us. And for example, following the personal liberation practice, one point Buddha taught how to stop our contaminated the physical and verbal karmas. How to stop the non-virtuous physical and verbal karmas. This is known as the practice of the ethics. Practice of ethics. How to stop the physical and verbal non-virtuous actions. This is not that the Buddha did not teach this. Buddha taught it. Buddha taught this. This is so important. And then Buddha also taught the methods by which to stop the afflictions. This is also the other thing the Buddha taught. And the Buddha taught how to stop the inappropriate attention. And then Buddha also taught how to not to react to the different feelings. How to not react to different feelings. Stop the reaction to the different feelings. This is also what the Buddha taught. And then find out how to wake up from the sleep of ignorance. This is also what the Buddha taught. So for us, I would say, a person would say that we have to learn all these methods and then apply them in your day-to-day life, and then finally succeed in all these methods, not just succeed in one. Succeed in all these methods, and that you respect all the methods. This is so precious. Okay, and so with this in mind, sectarianism, this is a poison. Oh, what you are teaching, this is from your tradition. Right? My tradition is for different. If this is a sectarian approach, if this is the approach that we take, this is a poison for us. In a way, you are saying that, okay, I'm suffering from tuberculosis, and what is this hospital? Is this a Muslim hospital, or a Hindu hospital, or a Jain hospital, or Christian hospital, or non-believer hospital? If it's not a Buddhist hospital, I'll not go there. Right? This is not my tradition. This is so unwise. It doesn't matter When you're hungry, eat any bread, Christian bread, Muslim bread, Buddhist bread, there's no difference. Eat any bread. Your problem is to remove the hunger. It's not about to remove the Buddhist hunger. We want to remove the hunger, that's a problem. So likewise, we want to remove the pains of suffering of samsara, not about the Buddhist suffering, not about the Buddhist samsara, not about the Christian samsara. It's about this samsara. We don't want to have this. So this is the approach that we need to take. Okay. Then so in this connection, this sutra is so precious, so precious. So meanwhile, we see that this is the whole title is the Sutra on Dependent Origination, Rice Sutra Sutra, Śhālistamba Sūtra, Dependent Origination. This is very profound, and in fact, we see that while we talk about emptiness, which is the most sophisticated concept, at the same time, the suffering is operating on the conventional level. Let's not forget it. The miseries that we want to get away from, the happiness that we are seeking, these are all happening on the dependent origination level, on the conventional level. So we have to respect the conventionalities of the world. We have to respect that. So for that matter, we see that what the Buddha is teaching here, dependent origination, which His Holiness the Dalai Lama summarizes on 3 levels, summarizes as 3 levels of dependent origination. And it's so important for us to know all these 3, and which is only sometimes summarize them into 2, which is so well presented in the Śhālistamba Sūtra. So what are the 3 levels? And then how do they bring them into 2? The first is the dependent origination of the results, dependence on the causes. Dependent origination of the results, dependence on the causes, number 1. Number 2, dependent origination of the wholes, dependence on the parts. Whole and the parts. House as a whole, and then window, walls, ceilings, floor, and so forth as parts. Dependence of the wholes on the parts. Then number 3, dependent origination of dependence on mere mental designation. Dependent origination of dependence on a mere mental designation. And you can bring these, put them these 3 into 2. The first one is causal dependent origination. Causal dependent origination, which is dependent origination of the results, dependence on the causes. The second one is dependent origination of dependence on imputation. If you say dependent origination of dependence on imputation, then you don't have to say mere, because that it qualifies both the Prasangika and Svatandra Madhyamika. Okay, 3 levels. And here in the Śhālistamba Sūtra, while the 3rd level of dependent origination, the 3rd one is the final import of this teaching. But the first one, given that the first one is how the universe operates, whole universe is operating on the principle of the cause-effect dependent origination. Because of which, the respect for the law of dependent origination, respect for the law of cause and effect, law of karma is so important for us. And if you don't have respect for the law of karma, in other words, that if you don't have good knowledge of how the cause and effect operates, then we'll continue to suffer in samsara. Continue to suffer. And the great teachers like Arindigarjuna, Acharya Chandragati, what they said is that there are 2 kinds of people. With ignorance, there are 2 kinds of ignorance. Ignorance which misconceives the law of cause and effect, and the ignorance which misconceives the ultimate reality. Those who misconceive the law of cause and effect, they will continue to accumulate non-virtuous karmas. Because they don't know the efficacy of cause and effect. If I do bad, if I engage in negative karmas, then I will suffer. They have no idea of this. So therefore, they don't hesitate to engage in non-virtuous karmas. And they continue to suffer with manifest suffering all the time. This is how they cannot come out of samsara. And those people who have the wisdom of the law of cause and effect, but who do not have, who are submerged in the ignorance, misconceiving the ultimate reality, then they'll be bound by the virtuous karmas. They'll be bound by the contaminated virtuous karmas. Of course, they will not accumulate negative karmas, but they'll continue to accumulate contaminated virtuous karmas, which will again continue to bind them in samsara. And whereas those people who are freed from these two kinds of ignorance will be liberated for good, liberated from samsara for good. Okay, with this in mind, let us read the sutra. Screen sharing. Okay. Noble Mahayana Sutra, the Rice Seedling. And this is a very comprehensive sutra. It's extremely profound. Yes, of course. And we must learn how to make the flow of our mind, the pattern of your thinking, to flow with the contents of this the sutra. In other words, that our thinking pattern should become like how the sutra taught about the dependent origination, conviction and the efficacy of dependent origination. The sutra reads, homage to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Thus have I heard at one time. Okay, this part. Thus have I heard at one time. This is the indication that this is the sutra, and at the time of the Buddha, the teachings of the Buddha, they were not really found inscribed in written, and they were all like passed down to the younger generation orally. And then at one point, during the first turning wheel of Dharma, the Mahakashyap, Arhat Mahakashyap, he took the initiative of compiling the Buddha's teachings in the form of Tripitak, or the three baskets. And himself, then Arhat Ananda, Arhat Upali, three of them recited all the teachings of the Buddha at that point. So, thus have I heard at one time. When this is said, is that these are all like later sharing by the great the Arhats and the great Bodhisattvas. Particularly, we see that the teachings related to personal liberation, teachings for the Bodhisattvas, or the Mahayana teachings of the Sutra section, and the Mahayana teachings of the Tantra section or Vajrayana. There are three teachings there, and the teachings for the personal liberation. These teachings were compiled primarily by the Arhats, like Arhat Mahakashyap, who was the first heir to Buddha Shakyamuni, then Arhat Ananda, the chief attendant to the Buddha Shakyamuni, and then the Arhat Upali. Whereas the teachings of the Mahayana teachings of the Sutra system, they are compiled by the great Bodhisattvas like Maitreya, Manjushri, Avalokiteshvara, and so forth, the great Bodhisattvas. And the tantric teachings Mahayana tantric teachings, they were mostly compiled by the Arya Maitreya. And so when homage, thus have I heard at one time, means that to indicate that these teachings that I'm narrating, I'm sharing with you, these are not my personal creations. This is actually what happened at that time. This is what I heard. This is not what I conceptualize. This is not what I am, creating from it's not my creation. It's what I heard. So it is indicating the authenticity of the teaching. The Bhagavan refers to the Buddha Shakyamuni. The Bhagavan was residing on the Vulture Peak Mountain in Rajgriha. In fact, I'm sure that many of you have been to Vulture's Peak, Chakotpumpuri, Vulture's Peak in the Bodh Gaya. So this Vulture Peak, this is a place where the Buddha taught many teachings. Buddha gave many teachings. So most popularly, we have been reciting Heart Sutra all the time. And of course, Heart Sutra was taught there in Vulture's Peak, but there are many other teachings taught there in Vulture's Peak. Okay. The Bhagavan was residing on the Vulture's Peak mountain in Rajgriha with a large Sangha of 1,250 bhikshus, bhikshus meaning the fully ordained monks, and with a great many Bodhisattva Mahasattvas. And the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, Bodhi, so some of you may be wondering why this is known as a Bodhisattva Mahasattva. Why? The Mahasattva added. So this is for the reason it is said that the Bodhi meaning awakening or enlightenment. Sattva is the one who's courageous. One who is courageous to seek enlightenment. So this word Bodhisattva, if you take it very literally, it can apply also to the literal meaning. Literal meaning can be applied also to the Shravakas and Pradik Buddhas, because Pradik Buddhas, Shravakas, they also seek their own Bodhi. Bodhi meaning awakening. For them, the enlightenment is the Shravaka Arhatship. And then Sattva is the one who is courageous to seek their enlightenment. And to distinguish what we refer to as the Bodhisattvas from the Shravakas, Pradik Buddhas, who also seek their own enlightenment. To distinguish the real Bodhisattvas from these practitioners, the Mahasattva was added. Maha, the great. Okay. So it is taught that they are, say, the great here, referring to the commentary by Acharya Kamalashil. He identified 7 points of greatness with regard to the Mahayana practitioners referred to as the Bodhisattvas. Number 1 is that the great in terms of the Dharma, the greatness of the Dharma. The Bodhisattvas, the Dharma they practice is not just very small Dharma. It's very extensive Dharma. For example, like if you study, say, if you study Abhisamaya Alankara by Arya Maitreya, which is actually a commentary, is like a mini commentary of the Buddha's own, the perfection of the wisdom sutras. It's extremely extensive. So therefore, in terms of Dharma, is very extensive teachings. This is Maha, number 1. Number 2 is that the greatness in terms of generating the mind for the benefit of all the beings. Number 2, greatness of them, the scope of the thought, scope of the altruism. Then number 3 is that the aspiration, or we call it like conviction in the profound Dharma, profound and the vast Dharma. Number 1 is just the Dharma. Number 3 is the conviction within the Bodhisattvas with the deep and the profound Dharma. That is number 3. Then number 4 is the greatness in terms of the mental sharing, greatness in terms of the mentally sharing their knowledge and experience with all the sentient beings. This is number 4. Then number 5 is greatness in terms of the accumulation of merit and accumulation of the wisdom. They focus on both in a complete form. Then number 6 is that the greatness in terms of time. They're not scared of how long it takes to become enlightened. Whereas those who seek personal liberation, they want to attain liberation within like 2 lives, 7 lives, 8 lives. But if bodhisattvas, knowing that for them to become enlightened, it may take like 3 countless eons. They don't mind. So in terms of time, it's great. And then they say the practice, the greatness of their practice. The practice is so vast, so profound, and they are so eager to engage in these profound and the vast practices. And these are the 7 points of the greatness. So therefore, the bodhisattva or the practitioners of the Mahayana teachings are to demarcate these as bodhisattvas from the personal liberation seekers. This Mahasattva is added, Bodhisattva, Mahasattvas. At that time, Venerable Shariputra went to the place frequented by the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Maitreya. And after they had exchanged courtesies upon meeting each other, they both sat down on a flat rock. So the Buddha presided over that place. And some of you have been there in Rajgir. And you may be wondering, you do find huge rocks there. So it's said here that after they had exchanged courtesies upon meeting each other, they both sat down on a flat rock. Okay. Next, Venerable Shariputra then said to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Maitreya, Maitreya, here today the Bhagavan gazing at a rice seedling, saying, while the Buddha was passing close by the vulture's peak, they passing by a rice field. Buddha said, having said this, the Bhagavan gazing at a rice seedling spoke this aphorism to the bhikshus. Bhikshus meaning the fully ordained monks. Bhikshus, whoever sees dependent arising sees the dharma, and whoever sees the dharma sees the Buddha. Having said this, the Bhagavan fell silent. Maitreya, what is the meaning of this aphorism? This is, in fact, I would say that this sutra is so beautiful in ways that the things are made so clear. The questions asked by Shariputra to Arya Maitreya, they are so clearly asked, and the responses given by Arya Maitreya is again so clear. Having said this, the Bhagavan fell silent. Maitreya, what is the meaning of this aphorism spoken by the Sugata? Sugata meaning the one who has gone to the great bliss of enlightenment. This is another epithet of the Buddha Shakyamuni, the Bhagavan, Sugata, Tathagata. Now, what is dependent arising? So, Buddha, whoever sees dependent arising will see the Dhamma. For this, we have to know what is dependent arising. Dependent arising, dependent origination, these two mean the same. It's just a matter of translation. What is the Dharma? It says, whoever sees dependent arising will see the Dharma. So what is the Dharma? And whoever sees Dharma will see that Buddha. What is Buddha? So look, these are all the questions which we are bound to ask to Arya Maitreya. And the Shariputra asks questions right on behalf. How does one see the Dharma by seeing dependent arising? How does one see Buddha by seeing the Dharma? So the link among these 3 points. How by seeing dependent arising will see the Dharma? How by seeing the Dharma will see the Buddha? The Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Maitreya then replied to the Venerable Sharitvatiputra. Venerable Shariputra, you want to know what dependent arising is? In a statement made by the Bhagavan, the Lord of the Dharma, omniscient one, the bhikshus, whosoever sees dependent arising sees the Dharma. Whosoever sees the Dharma sees the Buddha. Well, the phrase dependent arising means that because this exists, okay, this is very important. So we see that the first part is where the Buddha taught, whosoever sees dependent arising will see the Dharma. Whosoever sees the Dharma will see the Buddha. This one. The second is because this exists, that exists. Because this is produced, that is produced. Then that is to say, ignorance causes formations, and formation causes the formation causes consciousness, and consciousness causes name and form. So this is about the 12 links of dependent origination. And yes, we will do the screen sharing of the 12 links of dependent origination. So first, let's just read this. Then say it says here, the first link is the ignorance. Ignorance causes formation. The formation and the formation actually is the karma. Karma. So why the karma is referred to as a formation? In Tibetan, it is duje. Duje. Maribe duje. Mariba is ignorance, giving rise to duje. Duje can be translated as formation, meaning that the karmas, they form the results. They form the results. They form the respective results. So this refers to the formation. A formation referring to karmas. And formations cause consciousness, link number 3. And consciousness causes name and form. So I say the consciousness which carries the imprints, and this consciousness which carries the imprints of the karmas, these karmas will be germinated and then will give you rise to your body and your mind in the next life. Your body and mind of today is the result of the karmas of the past. So name and form. And in fact, several, maybe 1 or 2 months ago, there's one gentleman who came and who introduced himself as somebody who did the Vipassana meditation, the attentive Vipassana meditation continues for about I think about 3 years. And he was asking me this question. So the name and form and the relationship with the body and the mind. The name here is the name here means the mind, and the form is the physical form, the body, the matter and the mind was relationship. And he said that in the sutra, sometimes it says that the name causes the form, or the mind causes the body, matter. In some cases, these are said to be together simultaneous. So I'm confused. This is what he said. So I told him that, okay, when the Buddha taught, he's different. And in the first place, we need to make sure that these are coming from the real sutras, not just explanation by some teachers. They should be real sutras. If they come from the real sutras, then say that we can understand it in a proper way. Otherwise, say some teachers may interpret in their own ways, so that we cannot really take them as authentic. Okay, so one is that name and form is together, or the mind and matter is together, and mind and matter as sequential. The mind giving rise to the matter. So these two are two different things. How two different things? Don't just follow me blindly. In the context of 12 links of dependent origination, this is he was not telling me about the 12 links. He just name and form. The moment the name and form, in the broadly speaking, in the Buddha's teachings, Buddha sutras, the moment there's a mention of name and form, this is usually attached to the 12 links of dependent origination. Then instantly I took him back to 12 links, and he said, yes, that's very true. It is indicated in 12 links. So he was coming from the Vipassana, Goenkaji's Vipassana tradition. So here in the context of 12 links of dependent origination, the name and form come together. Name and form come together. That is, it is not just name and form, the body and matter, in general context. No, this is in the context of you taking birth in the mother's womb. You taking birth in the mother's womb. You taking birth in the mother's womb is that the parent substance. Parent substance, that is your body. Your mind from the past life, that is your mind. So these two, the moment they join together, your mind get glued to the body substance of the parents in the mother's womb. That is you now. These combine together. On that basis, you have the body and mind from the past life, and the body of from the parents. So these two together, now you attain the identity as I with respect to this life. So with respect to this life, for example, you now while you are attending this teaching, you have the body and you have your mind. Your body and your mind is two together. So that is in the context of the 12 links of dependent origination. In the mother's womb, the first moment of the conception in the mother's womb, where that body which attracted your mind from the past life, these two together, that is the name and form to simultaneous. This is the meaning of the simultaneity of the name and form in this context. Now the next, where the mind gives rise to the body. The mind as the cause giving rise to the body, that is in the context of how we, for example, say we obtain this human body. And some of us, okay, we obtain this human body. Some of us, we say in fact, there was some of us, you may be in your, say, the 40s, 50s, but you look like 20s. Some of you have a very youthful body. In fact, there was one gentleman who was sharing his the experience on an aeroplane, and he said that when he was in the aeroplane, he was already 29 years old, and he has extremely youthful face, very youthful face, and he said that he asked the air hostess, "Can I have a glass of wine?" And the air hostess looked at him and asked, "Where's your ID? Where's the ID?" And he was confused. Why should I have to, he asked, why should I have to produce my ID for a glass of wine? And she said, "I'd like to check your age." Because they say in some countries, only when you reach age 20, some countries age 22, some countries age 18, and he was already 29. And air hostess asking, "Where's your ID?" You're getting it? So he was already 29 years old, just imagine. But he has such a youthful face, extremely youthful face. Lucky guy, right? Many people say. So because we say if you are 30 or if you're 29 and somebody says you look like 28, you're very happy, right? Thank you. And if the person says you look like 30, right, you're very sad, so upset, right? So we all like to feel youthful. So the point is that some people have a very youthful look. In my case, there was many years ago, I was in my 40s. Some of you already know the anecdote. I was in my 40s, and I went to a dentist, and the dentist said that, "No, I cannot work hard. I cannot work too much. I'm getting old. I'm already 67. I'd never ask the age of somebody unless there's a reason, there's a specific reason. And he himself just told me that I'm 67. Then he suddenly stopped. He asked me, "How old are you?" Then I asked him, "Guess my age." He said, No, you tell me. How old are you?" I said, "I'm 70. I said, "I'm 70 years old, 70 years old. He said, No, you're not 70. Then I said, "So therefore I asked you, guess my age." Just imagine, I was in my 40s. If you're in your 40s, and if this is his assessment, what will you feel? He said that you're not in 70s. You look like 65. Just imagine if you're 40 and somebody tells you you're 65, right? What do you feel? You'll become crazy, right? You'll die on the spot. You'll become mad. Okay. So what I'm saying is that we all prefer to look youthful. And some have youthful appearance. Some do not have, right? Like myself. So, and again, these are all because of the karmic result. Your body appearing a youthful appearance and not youthful appearance and so forth is all the karmic result. But if you look at it from a very broad picture, in space and in time, right? This is just nothing, right? Maximum we live for how many years? 80, 90, and some people live 100 and 104. I've heard like maybe 3, 4, 5 cases I've heard. And 117, one Japanese lady, 117. And there was one religious practitioner, non-Buddhist religious practitioner, he was said to be like 104. I'm sure he's not 104. He must be in 60s or 70s. You know, from the body texture, I could feel that. I could see that. It's not, it's just exaggeration. Oftentimes in many places, they even don't know my age. They even don't know the age. They do not know, even myself, I don't know my exact date of birth. There are many people who do not know the age. So just say that oh, he is 104, not 100. From the body, I could see that. Okay, so what I'm saying is that these are the results of the previous karma. The karma is a part of your mind. So that mind determines your body today. So that mind is the cause, and your body today, the matter. The body is nothing but the matter. This matter, which is your body of this life, is determined by the previous karma. This is the meaning of the mind determining the matter. This is the meaning. And then from it's a bigger picture, we talk about what is known as the collective karma. Collective karma. For example, we all use the same planet Earth. We all use the same planet Earth, and this is the result. This planet Earth, what it is like, is the result of the collective karma for all the beings who are who take shelter in this planet Earth. So this planet, again, if the planet Earth is a matter, what it is determined by the collective karma for ours from the past. So that is the mind of the past, resulting or giving rise to the habitat. The world is habitat, but it is today as a matter is given rise, determined by the previous karma. So this is how we speak about the mind giving rise to the matter. And what is the exact correlation of the body and the mind? The matter and the mind. The best book that you can see is Acharya Dharmakirti's book, Pramanavartika chapter 2. This is the best book in this world, I would say. In the other planets, I don't know. On the planet Earth, this is the best book to talk about the relationship between the body and the mind. This is the best book. Okay, we'll stop here, and we will recite the Heart Sutra mantra 3 times together, and then we'll come back the Indian Standard Time, 6 o'clock. Indian Standard Time, 6 o'clock. And some people, you might have to come in the midnight. Okay. Deyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhisvatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgate bodhisvatyata Om gate gate Paragate Parasamgate bodhisvaha. Kuchasmura.
Thank you, everyone. And after every class or a session, we will do the 3 prostration. Thank you.